Incident response is often called the powerhouse of a security operations center of an organization. We have seen incidents evolving dramatically over the course of the past 12 months. The pandemic has changed the entire equation. We have seen an increase in the attack surface. We are seeing sophistication in attacks. We're seeing public sector organizations being targeted more and more. And the people on the front lines of security incident response are the ones who are bearing the brunt of it. As the incidents are becoming more and more sophisticated, there needs to be more sophistication or more automation in order to make sure that the incident response team can more effectively respond to such incidents. The topic of of our discussion today is going to be about using AI and incident response and the lessons learned from the front lines. My name is Farooq Naiyer, and I am the CISO at Orion. I'm joined by two really esteemed speakers from really interesting backgrounds. So I will let them introduce themselves and then we'll dive into the conversation. I'd like to start off with Alex.
Thanks, Farooq. I'm Alexander Poizner. I am a founder and the CEO of Parabellyx Cybersecurity. I've been in cybersecurity for the last 25 years, almost 25 years. Started off with standard sysadmin stuff in the 90s. Was one of the original incident responders during the dot-com era through the end of 90s and 2000s. Built cybersecurity practices for various organizations, helped large organizations build their SOC and incident response practice. And right now, as part of Parabellyx team, I'm still doing consulting. I'm helping various organizations, both large and small, on cybersecurity strategy.
Thank you, Alex. And over to you, Rozita.
My name is Rozita Dara. I'm a faculty member at the School of Computer Science, University of Guelph. My research background is on applied AI, but I apply it to privacy-enhancing technologies and cybersecurity in general. Data governance is another topic that my research program is established several projects in different applications. On the privacy and security side, I would say more privacy. Another interest that I have is on human aspect of cybersecurity and also legal aspect. But my focus really is using AI to enable either compliance when it comes to legal aspect of privacy, analyzing and understanding human behavior. And so basically, I work on privacy and security, but it evolves around AI and data collection, interoperability, integration, making sense of data, and to make informed decision about a privacy breach incident, security incident, or making informed decision about, for example, privacy preference of a user. So basically, I would consider my background applied AI, using it to privacy enhancing technologies. Thank you.
Amazing. So I'd like to start off the conversation by talking about the key challenges associated with effectively responding to incidents. So I'd like to pose this question to Alex. Given your experience in this service security advisory and MSSP space and security operations, what are the key things which come to mind when we talk about challenges associated with effectively responding to incidents, and how can we overcome those challenges?
Thanks, Farooq. So when it comes to the challenges in incident response, two things come to mind first. One is timing. I mean, how do we make sure that we detect any incident in a timely manner? Not after it happened, but preferably early signs when it just started happening or during the incident response, rather than looking at the results and trying to reconstruct what happened. So that's really the first thing, and this is really where we see a huge race right now with various technologies in cybersecurity, in SOC, as well as with the methodologies that come to various aspects of security analytics to make sure that we make timely detection. The other aspect with the incident is that we don't really know what happened or what's happening. So we're dealing with a lot of unknowns. We may be dealing with some known unknowns. We're just missing pieces of the data, or we may be dealing with unknown unknowns where we don't even know what exactly is going on. So this is really why the huge component of incident response is really the human aspect. The human aspect in terms of asking the question, what is going on, what's happening, and then being able to devise a smaller set of questions, a small set of problems that can be solved either by humans or by machines in order to effectively answer the question, what's going on, and in order to make sure that we have a successful result in the incident response.
When we talk about incident response, there are various aspects to incident response itself. First of all, ensuring that you're able to proactively either prevent an incident. The second one is more about getting to know about an incident and responding to it in a timely manner. And there are other aspects which lead to incident investigation, incident response, and forensics. And there are other aspects which relate to technology also, like you have lots of tools and technologies within a SOC environment, because SOC environment at the end of the day is a combination of people, process, and technology. So let's now bring in the aspect of artificial intelligence into incident response. And let's talk about the key areas within incident response in which AI is already playing an active role, or perhaps can play a role in the future. So I'd like to bring in Rozita into the conversation, given the fact that you're involved academically in the area of threat intelligence, cybersecurity, and AI. What are the few things which come to mind when we talk about utilizing AI and responding to incidents in a more effectively?
So as Alex indicated, so there are many different aspects that I assume that, they say that AI is very effective when there is a job that is repetitive, and you can, by collecting data, you can kind of you are able to make machines that would be able to repeat the same job over and over again, and over time improve. But also recent AI, and with the technology and deep learning methods, most AI methods have become very effective in understanding context and performing a bit more complex task that human mind can do it, so understanding underlying some patterns that human is unable to detect. This is a very general kind of overview of how AI can help, but as Alex correctly pointed out, there is a large volume of attacks and incidents, privacy breaches that are happening every minute, every second. So I think human is unable to catch up, with the volume. So one way of so AI could be effective if an effective AI system is built for that purpose. It can take the load of human, so address some of them either automatically, guide that volume of attacks that are maybe detect false positive. I know AI can result in false positive, but can also, if it is built effectively, can detect false positive, and again prioritize it, and then assign it to different teams and groups even automatically to to again reduce that manual work of who is available right now, who can look after this incident. So identification first of, so let's start from the beginning. Identification, because you have to identify the threat, prioritize it, high risk, low risk, categorize it in which group it will go. In the triage maybe steps, it can facilitate, it goes on the right direction, or it goes into the right group. And in some cases, maybe automated response could be also facilitated if it is not too risky. So maybe there are type of either attack or incidents, let me put it, not necessarily attacks, that doesn't rely to the result to failure. Maybe AI can be used to, kind of respond to that incident at that time, so that the issue is completely resolved or is put aside to be dealt with later on. So how it can be used, just I would say, even processes, within development teams, within cybersecurity teams, there are processes that tend to be, in many organizations, are manual. If you can collect data from those even internal processes, very simple rule-based AI can help with certain improvement in the processes, with kind of distributing work among the teams, meetings, and many other things that can be done. So I would say it's just enormous. It depends how much capacity we have to build the AI system, how much data, accurate data we have to build the AI system, and how and where to use it, and what's the priority and how to use it.
Thank you, Rozita. It seems that AI can help in almost all the aspects of incident response, from planning, detection, response, investigation. AI has a really important role to play in this area. I will let Alex also weigh in on this and share some examples of how AI is helping reshape the whole incident response framework itself.
Thanks, Farooq. So just reiterating what Rozita already said, a few things that are really important for us where AI can be leveraged in SOC. And again, there is a lot of conversation going on in the last little while. We're hearing, hey, AI may be replacing humans in a SOC, certain levels of analysts. I don't believe so. However, there are areas, for example, Rozita correctly said that we are dealing with huge volumes of data. There is no way this can be done by humans. Also, humans are extremely bad at pattern recognition. I mean, throw any number of cognitive biases in the mix, and we have a big problem when humans have to go and manually try to figure out some patterns in the data. So this is where AI is going to play a huge role. It already starts playing that role. But in addition to this, AI has great capability of solving what we call small world problems. And let's just distinguish what small world versus large world is. Large world problems are really problems that are not bound by rules. The rules may be random. There might be no rules. Small world problems, on the other hand, they have a finite set of rules. And this is where most of the machine interactions come to play. Machine interactions are really bound by small world problems, finite set of rules. And this is where AI is going to be perfect. As Rozita said, it's going to solve the problems, it's going to improve itself in solving the problems, and it's going to greatly help SOC and incident response teams. The other thing is the ability of AI to start doing the natural language translation. And this plays well into the automation, because there are a lot of activities in SOC that can be automated that will greatly help the people that are already under stress, that are trying to make the decisions under stress. And for example, when we're talking about threat hunting. Threat hunting, it cannot be fully automated. However, the idea of taking what we have from the threat feeds, from the threat intelligence, and converting it to various queries that right now usually data scientists or threat hunters are going to do. This process can be potentially automated by AI. Much the same thing, there is a lot of human-related analysis when it comes to creating the indicators of compromise. However, taking the human input and converting it automatically to creation of some, for example, Yara scanning rules, any machine-based indicators of compromise. This is something that AI can take care of. Again, manual activity, manual activity that really we don't want people to do during the instant response. We want machine to take care of that manual activity and let humans be humans. Let humans apply the human judgment towards the actions that need to be done. Because in the end, our instant response problems, if they are cybersecurity related, there's always a human factor to this. This is something that you cannot automate. This is something that you cannot take out of the content. So the humans should focus on that, while machines should focus on machine-to-machine interactions.
Interesting. So yesterday I was moderating a panel on finding the right talent for Security Operations Center, and I'd like to quote one of the comments that I got at that session, and that comment was about automation itself, and the comment was that let the humans do what they do best, and let the machines handle all the inhumane practices. And when we talk about inhumane practices, we're talking about a human analyzing millions of alerts, which is humanly not possible, and it's often termed as something inhumane. And to your point, Alex, as you mentioned, the machine should be more involved in communication between machine to machine, but can also play an important role in being a decision support system, or perhaps providing good enough information or data to the humans to make the right decision. Because when you're responding to an incident, every second counts. Every second, every minute counts. And you don't have enough time to go through loads and loads of data or information. And that's where AI and machine learning itself does play an important role. So we live in a data driven world. In every shape or form, we as humans or machines are generating data. And we do have a data footprint in some shape or form. And when we talk about incident response and utilizing AI for effectively responding to incidents, we are relying on data. And when we talk about AI itself, AI, the efficiency or reliability of the AI model depends heavily on the quality of the data, and also depends on or is being influenced by various biases. So when we are working in a security operations center environment, we're getting data through threat intelligence feeds, as you mentioned about IOCs. We do get IOCs as part of automated threat feeds, which does constitute as technical or tactical threat intelligence. But we're also getting data from a security information event management tool, which is throwing out alerts like anything. We're also getting data from our DDoS detection platform. We're getting data from other pieces of technology, which is working as a detective piece of control. So, Alex, I'd like to bring you into the conversation in terms of weighing in terms of how the quality of data play an important role in shaping up the efficiency of the whole instant response process. And if you can quote some examples, that would be good too.
Thanks, Farooq. So the quality of data is extremely important. I mean, from the early days of the SOC, we saw that essentially, if we start feeding bad data, garbage into our SOC systems, the ability to perform any kind of analysis is going to be greatly hindered. So as we're saying, garbage in, garbage out. A lot of focus has been done in the last little while on improving the quality of data that comes into our security monitoring analytics systems. I mean, both log data, but also other data, such as even the threat feeds. And let's not forget about things such as operational intelligence. When we're looking at what we're doing in SOC, how we operate it, when we're looking at how we're doing incident response and how well we're performing, that is also an operational data that can be used to provide us with invaluable insight to what to how to improve things. And this is where AI can help as well. In terms of a couple of examples, one interesting thing that comes to my mind is when we are using threat intelligence feeds. A lot of time, the data that is in those feeds, it may not be generalized data. It shouldn't be used in a generalized context. A lot of times there are some comments about specific events in the feed, which are not really readily translatable into any machine actions. Yet in many situations in the SOC, I've seen that people disregard those comments and simply translate it into generalized machine actions on queries and getting better results. Other things that we would see during, for example, an incident response. I mean, the general nature of humans is we're going to look at something happening and then we're going to build a hypothesis. We're building the hypothesis that this is happening because of, and this is where we're going to use our experience, our judgment, right? It may be affected by cognitive biases, maybe not, but essentially we need to start with a theory and then we're looking for confirmation in the data. Where in fact, sometimes a more effective approach is to start with the data and then generate the hypothesis based on certain patterns in the data. So that particular hypothesis-based operation in the SOC has delayed some of the incident response activities. So this is where we need a lot of improvement as well.
Thank you, Alex. So, Rozita, academically, you are quite heavily involved in AI, cyber threat intelligence, and all of the key aspects of cybersecurity as it relates to AI. So, in your opinion, I mean, how do you separate the noise from the actual data? Have we solved that problem as yet, or is that a work in progress?
Well, that's a very good question. As Alex pointed out, it's I don't think we are going to solve that problem anytime soon. It really depends on. I completely agree with Alex. I mean, see, if from academic perspective, there are two main approaches when we work with AI. One is goal-based. The other one is data-driven. One is goal-driven. The other one is data-driven. So the goal-driven one, we have an objective in mind. We have a group of questions. Those questions are, we have a bunch of goals in mind and questions, then metrics to answer those questions. I completely agree with Alex that we should not ignore, we shouldn't just have a hypothesis, and especially in the real world environment. I have worked on BlackBerry on software quality before. You have an ambitious goal, you look at your data, there is no way you can answer any of those questions with the data you have. So you have to go back and forth, look at the data, revise your objective, involve all the stakeholders, go back to the data, revise your objective, and maybe even start collecting data. It may not result immediately to what you want, but maybe in 6 months, a year, you have the data to analyze. The data-driven one is a type of approach that you have lots of data, and I guess from what I hear and what I was reading last night is just big data, in cybersecurity. And so you have some ideas in mind, but you don't know what data will represent. So it's kind of exploratory to understand what hidden patterns in the data is. There may be biases, there may be noise that is guiding you unfortunately in the wrong direction, but that's an explanatory phase that you're just still understanding what's in the data, whether the data is useful, what else can be added to make it more effective. So I think I will go to Alex's comment for the previous question, human, and even yourself, Farooq, it's just you cannot remove human from the building AI, constantly improving it. So I assume you have heard the a terminology we use, human in the loop approach. When you're developing AI, it used to be a human that interact with AI and constantly gives feedback to improve the AI itself. But now we are, in my research lab, we are taking that approach from the beginning, from data and all the way down. I mean, it's not a rocket science. We have been doing it, so so how do we remove noise? Lots of testing, all the stakeholders, people who are making decisions, looking at the data, looking at least the outcome, revising their questions, revising their expectation, looking for more data, and constantly testing. And once even an AI system is deployed, again, constantly monitoring, because there may be changes, new noises may be coming in, especially in the cybersecurity world. Is very challenging because attackers are using AI as well. So now they try to change the data, they try to change parameters of the machine learning to get what they want. So it's I would say constantly testing, having the right people on board, testing, engaging, making it the right decision, root cause analysis, and improving.
Yeah, rightly said, the threat actors are constantly evolving the TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures. And given the fact that you highlighted the human component and the importance of the human component, that's a really good segue to our next part of the conversation, which is about the human element. And the question that I have for you, Alex, is that how critical or perhaps how important is the human element in this whole equation? I mean, uh, at this point in time, we are saying that automation will not completely replace the humans, but we do see platforms like managed threat detection response platforms which have completely automated that. But let's talk about the human spin to incident response, because it's about lots of pressure from the psychological perspective and lots of other things which play a part into it. So just enlighten us on the human aspect of incident response.
Well, no matter how many systems are supporting you in incident response, in the end, the decision of what to do is human. So essentially, it boils down to I have to make a call that will greatly influence a company future, company ability to do business, and I have to make this decision in a great ambiguity, and I have to make this decision under stress. And something that I've read recently, because one of the topics that I am looking at right now is how humans are making decisions under stress. And there has been a lot of research in the 70s and in the 80s, especially in the military, to understand this. And what it boils down to, from at least from the results of that research, is that we are not wired to make an optimal decision under stress. We are wired to make the best known decision under stress. So unless we already had an experience in a situation and we've reacted in the situation, we basically downgrade it to the best known solution to us. If you are under great stress, you're not going to create a new solution. So obviously, one of the things that we potentially want the machines to help us with is to distress the situation, make it less stressful, so we can make better decisions in that situation. Also, like Rozita said, we are looking to construct some use case scenario hypothesis, and at this point, we're asking ourselves the questions. So, what's the probability that this is actually what's happening? Well, guess what? As soon as you start asking questions about what's the probability, you're not on the right track when you're doing an instant response, because you're not trying to look at the big picture. You're just going with Bayesian dial, going the probability is 90%, the probability is 30% based on the data that is coming to you. And this is where the technology can present you with a better picture, with a bigger picture in terms of understanding the situation. So you can reconstruct your hypothesis without assessing the probability of things happening. That's also extremely important. The other aspect of a human element is it's really human actions on our end, on the other end, that make the whole instant response process so random, so ambiguous. And one thing that I think we are doing well, based on the increasing complexity of the attacks, is that we are getting much better at addressing the human element at organizational end. I mean, if you look at the past 5 to 10 years, social engineering was the way to go. It was the path of least resistance. And all of a sudden, starting from last year, the complexity of technical attacks started increasing. Why is that? Well, that's because we're doing something really well. We've finally started addressing the whole human aspect component, and we're actually doing a better job at combating social engineering. So that's why our opponents, the adversaries, started looking for more complex technical ways to do the attacks. Now, if we can get the adversaries back into the technical domain of the attacks, that's great, because that means we can use technology to combat those attacks as well. And that's those are great news, and I think this is also an important aspect of the human element. If we can try to eliminate the human element from the equation, from some levels of attack, from some levels of decision maker, we are going to simplify the problem.
Thank you, Alex. Before I develop to the next part of my question, just a note to the viewers of the session, please feel free to type out your question on the chat window as part of the Cyber Exchange platform if you have any questions or comments. So, Rozita, you are currently involved in running the MCTI program at University of Guelph. I'm also part of the advisory group over there. Had some really good interactions with the advisory board members and Dr. Ali, who's running the program. So you and your team are primarily involved in grooming and educating the cybersecurity professionals of tomorrow and equipping them with the right knowledge and the right tools and the right training. What are the key things you guys are looking at in terms of the whole package that you're offering in terms of your program for making sure that the cybersecurity professionals that you are performing have the right skills, the right competency, and the right attitude to make sure that they're able to handle the stress, the psychological pressure, and all of the other things which will influence their ability to respond to incidents effectively.
Thank you very much, Farooq. Yes, so I'm part of that program. I'm teaching the privacy aspect of, I'm teaching privacy course, and the title of the course is Privacy, Compliance, and Human Aspect of Cybersecurity. So in my course, I talk about various landscape of privacy laws around the world and how it's evolving. I think one aspect that we didn't touch on as incident response challenges is the privacy landscape that is constantly evolving, I guess, whether internally within a sector that people are and maybe banks, they are changing their policy, they are changing their, legal, kind of landscape, and also at the, government level, global level. So I touch on those the privacy, compliance, and also on the human aspects, some of the things that we have just discussed, the challenges of both sides, so maybe human contribute to some of the, even from insiders, cause some issues within the organization, human aspects, some of the things that Alex just mentioned, and also how to facilitate human, because of their background, because of their knowledge, maybe they need assistance when they interact with systems in terms of their digital literacy is not there, so basically usable and usable privacy and security technology. So we cover all that aspect, but we have a very comprehensive program in terms of it, in terms of the technical aspect. So my course is slightly on the soft side. But my colleagues, as you indicated, Dr. Ali Dekhan, who's director of the program, so we looked at the fundamental of cybersecurity. So most of students that we get, they have either computer science background or they have experience in this area. So we are very careful that somebody comes and they are not overloaded with the technical aspect. And we start with fundamental of cybersecurity. We have a course on forensic, Dr. Jordan Lane, who is world known on this topic and has one of the best-selling books in this area. And then we have Dr. Hassan Khan, who's doing an amazing job in, penetration testing. Dr. Ali Dekhan himself, he covers threat intelligence, and that's the two courses that he offers is an introduction to AI, basic AI, and advancing a little bit with AI in terms of decision making, building an AI, data analytics, processing, and analyzing. So this program has been built to give all the right skills to the candidates who comes to our program, and then collaboration with industry. So really it's many practical things that they do through the course, but also through a capstone project. They may join. They have an opportunity to join and work with an industry. So we are going to give the foundation, theoretical and to a great extent practical. We also our goal in my course is just I cannot cover. I even talk about differential privacy. I cannot cover all the topics, so I just send students to do their own research to become self-learners, because I think this is the most absolute critical steps that students gain through our graduate program, especially in particular this one, that they become self-learners. They go reach out, they find topics, they find issues and solutions to it. So these are all the skills that we try in terms of communication skill. We work on all those different aspects. So this basically have been our goal, and the program has been established. Next year will be the third year. First year we had amazing over 30% women, female students in our program, and so we are just hoping to expand it, and so that's what this program covers.
Amazing. So we are at the last leg of our conversation, and I do see questions popping up on the chat window. But before I go to the questions, just some thoughts on the next generation SOC, or what does the future hold for us? I mean, there are lots of talks about what would the next generation SOC look like, what would be the next generation incident response look like, what does next generation forensics look like. But I'd like to get your thoughts on how's the future shaping up. So, Alex, your thoughts on that first?
Well, the future is bright, but interesting enough, we will see a shift in many technologies and improvement in many technologies, and this is where AI is going to play an important role. First of all, Rozita talked about the data quality, and I think AI can provide us with a better way and greater tools in terms of both improving that quality and assessing that quality, which is important for our decision-making process. Then, obviously, as we look at security data as the cornerstone of our SOC and our incident response, a more complex analytics of this data, multidimensional analytics of this data, in many cases cannot be human-driven. It has to be machine-driven. So that's another improvement that I see coming to SOCs around us in next few years. And of course, on the incident response side, we've already talked about threat intelligence and threat hunting, where AI can help to translate some of this, automate some of this. Pretty much the same thing about malware analysis. We haven't talked about malware analysis before. It's an important aspect of incident response. And because malware, the malware piece of code itself, behaves in a small world way, I think that we will see tools, AI tools, that will allow us to do a better and faster malware analysis fairly soon. And obviously, on the incident response aspect, with the focus on the response, we will see AI helping us create certain automations for the response. Right now, we have preset automations, and we're saying, well, we're looking for AI to make a decision on when to trigger this automation. Frankly, I don't think it's going to happen effectively anytime soon, just because of the amount of false positives. But having relied on AI to create the automations that we can launch, this is something that can happen. Again, this is something that is machine-to-machine interaction. It behaves in a small world way. So this is the problem that is entirely solvable by AI in the future. But also, let's talk about operational intelligence. Let's talk about the improvements that we can introduce to the security operations, to incident response itself, based on monitoring the results from the previous decisions, monitoring results from previous incidents. This is where, again, we're getting more and more data. We're collecting this data. We not necessarily know what to do with this data. This is where AI can provide us recommendations on the metrics. This is where AI can highlight some patterns of things that we're doing right versus things that we're doing wrong. And based on those, we can introduce greater improvements into SOC process, into incident response process, and become much more efficient.
Thank you, Alex. Rozita, what are your thoughts on what the future holds for us?
Yep, as correctly Alex pointed out, that the future is bright. So I completely agree with that. I agree with Alex. There will be lots and lots more automation coming different ways at different phases and steps throughout this whole cycle of, incident response, automated systems. Cloud, the use of cloud and analytics, obviously it's going to grow. I would see, I think there will be a lot of standardization or common understanding of threats, data type, more standardized metadata, because I think those are, if some response or some tasks are standardized across different organizations or different sectors and banks and others, healthcare and other ones. I think that would also help with removing a bit of a burden from human on making manual decision or so just building the AI system. So going back to the how AI system works from the beginning, lots of data is being generated. So there will be a need for standardization of data, understanding data, creating metadata, enabling interoperability, having a semantic understanding of what data is being generated, how it's going to be used, agreements with different stakeholders. So once that's done, which it addresses to some extent issue around noise as well, because I think right now we have lots of data and slightly less understanding of how data was generated and what the purpose of that data and how it could be used, for what purposes it could be used for. So I think it will be a lot of discussions, hopefully among different stakeholders on the data that is being generated and how it's being used, as I mentioned, kind of standardization and cleaning, again, common understanding standards around that, and then getting into actual task of using AI, which is the fun part. Usually data cleaning is just too time consuming and is the hardest part when you're building such systems. But then on AI and agreeing on the objectives and purpose of why you're using AI, machine to machine, simple task that could be automated, and it could be quite accurate to a great extent, and then up to even much more complex tasks, and also understanding where and which section, which phases of this whole step humans should be involved. So I think our understanding of data complexity, everything will continue to grow. Our systems becomes a little bit more sophisticated, and hopefully the attackers won't compete in sophistication, but it could constantly happen. But the one thing I see it may be happening is just having integrated systems. I'm not saying blockchain, but similar platforms that things are standardized and data can be collected, analyzed, and for cybersecurity incident response purposes. Because if the landscape is so fragmented, the challenges continue to remain the same, in my opinion. I mean, it continue to grow, or the challenges will remain.
Thank you, Rozita. We have about 9 minutes for our session, so I do see lots of questions popping up on our chat window. So I'll go with the first question, and the first question is: do you recommend building your own AI aggregator for threat intel or leveraging existing partner products? The benefit, and there's a comment which says the benefit with the former is your ability to train and tune your models, but does this outweigh using market tools? Who wants to take this?
I'll take this.
Okay.
So, first of all, I am against reinventing the wheel. Security done it for a while. We've done it with SIEM when the entire world was going with data warehousing and moving into the data science. We were stuck with some very legacy technologies on SIEM. We shouldn't be reinventing the wheel, honestly. If there are already products out there, we should be improving on them, not replacing them. I mean, you already have aggregators for threat intelligence. However, what we should be asking is the data quality in threat intel. Can we quickly analyze the data quality and have, for example, a scoring for data quality that's coming from various threat feeds? I think this is where AI will be a great improvement versus just doing it manually. Again, I don't want to discount anything. I don't want to rebuild anything. The question is how do we make sure that whatever we have has the quality that is adequate for us to do the job. Often with the threat intel, the quality of individual items in the feed differs greatly. So what we want to do is we need without manual intervention to focus on the quality, to focus on the higher quality, and to recognize the ones that are really special cases that may or may not be happening.
Thank you. Rozita, do you want to weigh in on that question?
No, just quickly say, if for my academic background, I would say build it. It's fun, but I agree with Alex. It's more practical to use this, the ones that exist just because of the standardization, many things that Alex just mentioned. So yeah, I agree with Alex.
Okay. We have another interesting question which says that what are the validations that are needed to ensure that AI-driven responses and controls are accurate? Rozita, I will let you weigh in on this. I know we had some discussions on this earlier, but yeah, any additional thoughts on this?
So the question was, what can be done to?
Yeah, what are the validations that are needed to ensure that AI-driven responses are and controls are accurate?
Okay. Well, so when we are building AI system, first of all, we start with some historical data. Hopefully it's accurate historical data, not very noisy, and data has been collected with some human intervention oversight. Depending on the purpose of AI system we are building, whether it's just we want to categorize it in a predefined groups or predict something, so data is collected in certain way. For example, some of the data is already annotated. So for example, a behavior or an observation was a malicious behavior before, or it wasn't, or it was a normal behavior. So on the data aspect, we have to make sure we have the high quality as much as possible and comprehensive data that represents the problem with the right annotations and the right labels. Then we have to understand the problem. So we have to bring on board all the stakeholders who are making decisions, who have experience in this area, understand the problem, have the questions in mind, go back to the data, make sure that it's data really represent the problem and can give you the answer. And with the help of those stakeholders and end users, whether they're end users or maybe they have experience within this area, we build the AI system. And it's not a one-step process. It's an iterative process. You go to you get the output from AI, you train the AI, you have training data, you train the AI, you get the output, you look at the accuracy, so in some cases, consistency is very important, not very high accuracy. In some cases, high accuracy is very important. It really depends on the problem that you're solving. You may have to go back, you may have to engage the stakeholders, you will have a look at the data. And this is just initial steps. Then you have to put it in the real world environment, maybe testing environment, get actual data that is coming, observe whether data is in the format or quality that you want, look at the output, have a human still involved in the process to look at the outcome. Human in the loop, as I mentioned before, it's a technique, it's an approach to make the system more accurate, help with the interpretability. Also be careful in terms of the AI algorithm you're selecting, whether it's interpretable or not. Some AI algorithms are black box, some of them are interpretable, which means you can see the rules that have been extracted from data. So you have to go through this process many times, put it in the testing phase, beta testing phase, before it's in production. And always there has to be validation points that you get what data comes in, what's the output, how the algorithm is behaving, so that it warns you in case something goes wrong, if it is not constantly being manually checked. So so that's the process to get into I would say efficient and effective AI system to be deployed for these purposes.
Thank you, Rozita. We have time for about 2 more questions. So the next question is around competencies. So patching staff competencies, how might an organization roll out a rapid patch that involves not just technical patch releases, but also training and behavioral change at scale? Interesting twist around the human element over here. Who would want to take this?
Okay. So I think that's a very good question. So it involves 2 things. It involves patching staff competence around the training and actual skill set, but also around the resilience to social engineering technique. And we really need to address both. From the operational skill set, this is where our operational intelligence may help. And again, right now, we're using manual analytics for both operational intelligence as well as for anything that's social engineering related. The problem is this: while it's good that we're doing it, but it is affected by what we call an availability bias, meaning we are concerned not with what's most important for the specific organization based on the objectives, based on the risks for the specific organization, based on their processes. But we are more concerned about an averaged issues that we see in the industry, because those are the issues that everybody talks about. So the more we hear about this, the higher it gets on our radar, and we think it's more important to address those. Where AI may help here is to overcome this availability bias. And based on various dimensions of data, based on the various data that we get from the organization, in terms of the operational intelligence, what we see in terms of our business process, what we see in terms of our technologies and applications, what we see in terms of various security events that are going on, it may help us to prioritize that particular training for everybody in the organization, from the technical staff in SOC, to general employees, and what they need to do based on what we see in terms of specific attacks, specific social engineering issues that are targeting the organization.
Thank you. We just have time for just one more question. We just have 2 more minutes left. And it's a pretty straightforward question. And the question is, how is AI reshaping the skill set within incident response? Rozita, I'll let you take this one.
How AI skill is reshaping? So that's a tough one, because I'm not working in an industry, but I will say AI is gradually becoming a mainstream, topic in many disciplines. So as we are training as you know, coding is going to high school and even elementary school level. So I think we are training even at high school level many people with skill set that AI or others. I think this is going to, the demand for all the data we are generating, IoT, the demand for automation. We are building skills with a bit of background around technology more than what we used to before. Universities are more and more focusing. They are encouraged to do interdisciplinary programs and take courses. Obviously, that skills also goes to industry environment. And I think it gradually becomes required. Some understanding of data, some understanding of how AI works. And especially with all the tools, when I was doing my master's, I was developing everything from scratch myself. None of my students do that. It's just Python code for deep learning, Python code for neural network. I did everything from scratch. So I think with all these more usable tools that are becoming available, just some understanding of how AI works, data pre-processing, and different AI algorithms and different tasks that can deliver. I think we will see more and more people having that background, becoming interested, taking 1 or 2 courses and becoming familiar with it, and having the interdisciplinary skills with, from any background, cybersecurity, programming, and AI. So that's how I see it.
Thank you, Rozita. And with that, we are at the 1 hour mark. And like to thank you both, Alex and Rozita, for sharing your perspective on this really interesting topic. Before we end today's session, I just want to share something which aligns with the conference theme, which is Canadian Women in Cybersecurity. Given the stats and numbers that we saw at the last University of Guelph MCTI Program Advisory Group meeting, we didn't see an encouraging number of women applicants. We would really want to see more women applicants for the MCTI program at University of Guelph or any other program. We want to see more women applying for this program. So just throwing it out there that if you want to make a career in cybersecurity, specifically threat intelligence, or want to pursue a master's level program, do apply for courses in institutions like University of Guelph and other universities in Canada and in Ontario. So
Yeah,
with that,
sure, absolutely. And one more thing, we have a number of scholarships available, and also on March 26th, there is a information session. Please check out Master of Cybersecurity and Threat Intelligence University of Guelph. You can get all the information. Thank you.
amazing. Thank you both, Rozita and Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.